Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, and today we're going to analyze a panic rant by MSNBC's ultra-leftist Joy Reid on how conservatives are taking over the country. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's dive right in.
All of this as more than 100 million women, and queer folks with uteruses too, woke up to yet another day in America, basically as state property in the more than 20 fully or partially Republican-controlled states that the Supreme Court's conservative majority unleashed to literally take physical control of half the population.
All right, stop right there, because that's quite the claim, isn't it? These red states have now taken, quote, physical control of half the population. Now, you'll notice immediately the sloppy thinking on Reid's part there. Why just 50%? What happened to all those queer folks with uteruses? If we add them into the mix, that would be clearly more than half the population, wouldn't it? So Reid's not even 20 seconds into this rant, and she's already stumbled into transphobia. But you'll notice, too, that she asserted twice this leftist meme that women in red states are basically state property. And at no point has Reid actually defined or explained what she means by this assertion. And that tells me that we're dealing with an unthinking talking point. Reid is spewing pure resentment rhetoric without an ounce of thought behind it. It's there to simply provoke leftist outrage and nothing more. And that's because a moment's reflection will reveal that such an assertion is utterly absurd. Statistically, 98% of all pregnancies are voluntary. There's no coercion, let alone state-sponsored coercion at all, in any way, shape, or form. Demanding that women not kill their offspring is not even remotely comparable to the state coercing them into pregnancy. And even suggest that the two are the same is not just dubious, it's flat out dishonest.
And the court majority is flexing its unelected power, rather brazenly, to further not a judicial or a constitutional, but seemingly a religious agenda. That is unprecedented in a country that's separated from the crown that leads a national church.
Now, again, this is just flat out dishonest. Setting aside Reid's total confusion on the relationship between church and state in the First Amendment, if Reid spent merely 5 minutes perusing Alito's write-up of the reasoning behind the court's decision, she would find that it was a model of constitutional jurisprudence. There's not so much as a hint of any religiously specific reasoning. The argument Alito gave was very simple. The explicit right to an abortion appears nowhere in the Constitution, and when the 14th Amendment, the very amendment the Roe decision was based on back in 1973, when that amendment was originally passed in 1868, abortion was considered a crime throughout the nation and therefore cannot be seen as a right intended by the amendment's authors. Therefore, absent constitutional authority, the issue, by definition of our federal system of government, must be decided on a state-by-state basis in accordance with the consent of the governed. If that's Christian fundamentalism, sign me up. Hey, gang, I know you've all been waiting for the info on my movie premiere next weekend on July 16th. So you ready for this? I've rented an IMAX theater, which means I've got 100 more tickets available for you to come to the premiere. VIP meet and greet will start at 6 p.m. and the movie will start around 7:15. You don't want to miss this amazing night with me and Senator Doug Mastriano live and in person at the Penn Cinema IMAX in Lidditz, Pennsylvania. This is your absolute last chance to get in if you haven't bought tickets yet. Now, remember, the last time we sold out of tickets in a day, so these are going to go fast. So hurry, click on that link below right now and get your tickets. And I cannot wait to see you next Saturday night at the Penn Cinema IMAX in Lidditz, Pennsylvania.
And it's not just them. Their party, the Republican Party, spent the past few days asserting that little girls, 10-year-old little girls who have been raped should bear the children of their rapists. This is an actual 10-year-old girl from Ohio who had been raped by a relative and who had to be taken to Indiana to terminate a pregnancy, which was the result of the abuse. Indiana has not shut abortion rights down yet. It is still a free state for now.
Now, this is perhaps the most common tactic among radical pro-abortionists like Joy Reid, who mentally moves so effortlessly between voluntary pregnancies, which statistically account for 98% of all pregnancies, to involuntary pregnancies, which account for no more than 2%. Now, again, a moment's reflection shows that this argument is fallacious. Forced pregnancies are categorically different than voluntary pregnancies, and we can easily show that. For the sake of argument, I will join you, Joy Reid, in condemning any and all bans that don't make exceptions for forced pregnancies. No problem. I will join you in advocating for total reproductive freedom when it comes to all forced pregnancies. So then, will you join me in calling for the banning of abortion when it comes to the other 98%?
America's 10-year-olds are also at the mercy of mass shooters when they walk into their fourth grade classrooms, because this court has decreed that guns have more rights than children or women.
Whoa. There's that transphobia again, Joy. I mean, what the heck? Remember, it's women and queer folk with uteruses. Those are your words. And again, I'm baffled that anyone could take this argument seriously. If women were to have the same rights as guns, as dictated, for example, by the Democrat state of New York, then they would need state permission to leave their homes. Men would need permits to bring their wives outside. Women could be bought and sold. They wouldn't even be allowed to go to school, since schools would be, quote, women-free zones.
In Florida today, college professors are required to submit to the government their political leanings so that Supreme Chairman Ron DeSantis can declare himself satisfied that there are enough right-thinking men and women on staff. Teachers who are gay or lesbian or bi have been forced back into the closet for fear of violating the Don't Say Gay law. Corporations are on notice that they had better not speak up in opposition to the governor, or else. Trans people are under brazen attack, with DeSantis floating the idea of ordering child protective services to investigate parents who take kids to drag queen story time. Schools are being stripped of history lessons, while teachers are being told in summer training sessions in Florida, the unfree state of Florida, that the slaveholding founding fathers actually hated slavery and that there is no separation of Christian church and state. And Florida is just one of the red states waging this particular cultural revolution.
So there again, you have this litany of grievance politics made up of nothing more than fomenting talking points. No one's being forced back into the closet with laws pertaining to kindergartners, for heaven's sakes. The banning of critical race theory is just that. It's the banning of a theory, not history. The separation of church and state is nowhere found in the Constitution. It comes from a letter written by Thomas Jefferson to the Danbury Baptists in 1802. Jefferson didn't even write the Constitution. These are all just woke talking points that are literally sound and fury, signifying nothing.
America is in a very different place in July of 2022 than it was even a year ago. We are less free. We are less safe at the store, at school, in church, at a parade. We are further down the road to authoritarianism and living in a constant state of terror. Oh, yes, and our former president very nearly pulled off a coup supported by a majority of his party. And the same religious arch-conservatives on the Supreme Court, who now threaten the freedom to marry, to purchase birth control, to be free from religious dogma, and to vote, are poised to decide a case that could make the next Republican coup legal.
Once again, Joy Reid is peddling falsehoods rather than facts. What Clarence Thomas said about revisiting contraception and same-sex marriage and the likes is that those rights need to be rooted not in the 14th Amendment, as they were in their previous decisions, but rather in either the 9th Amendment or what's called the Privilege and Immunities Clause in Article 4, Section 2 of the Constitution. He emphatically did not say that we would have to revisit contraception and same-sex marriage in terms of possibly overturning them. In fact, Alito's summary ruling said nearly a dozen times that this decision to overturn Roe does not impact any other right, period. What Clarence Thomas wants to do, ironically, is ground those other rights like contraception and same-sex marriage in more stable constitutional reasoning. But then again, that's why we call MSDNC fake news.
And now for the really bad news. It is not clear that our current politics is capable of stopping any of this, of turning it around and giving us an actual Independence Day. So what are we supposed to do?
Well, there you go. As you can see, according to leftists like Joy Reid, conservatives are absolutely crushing woke leftism in the vast majority of states in our nation. There's absolutely nothing in the end that they can do about it other than push their false, fledgling, and failed talking points. Well, that's going to do it for us, gang. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out my latest video where I demolish MSNBC's Mika Brzezinski's embarrassing rant against the ultra MAGA movement. You're going to absolutely love it. So make sure to click on that link, and I will see you over there. God bless.